You might have heard recently of the war correspondent Mary Colvin, who was killed in Syria recently. She was a war correspondent for 25 years. She'd been in many conflicts, and in one of the battles she lost her eye. She always wore an eye patch, but she got some shrapnel in her eye. When she got wounded, she got a bit depressed, but she was a brave soul, and in spite of her wounds and her depression, she went back into war zones to report. So she found herself in Syria. She was in the place where they were bombing, in Homs. She was the only Western correspondent left, and she did what she did because she thought, if I'm there, it might make them do less atrocities. No chance. And she thought that if I make reports, will tell the rest of the world, maybe the rest of the world will get their act together and do something about Assad in Syria. No chance there either, it seems, so far. But anyway, she lost her life in her pursuit of being a good journalist and letting the rest of the world know what's going on. And she was very encouraging to the Syrians, knowing that the rest of the world was represented by her. She was going in the wrong direction. Everybody else flees from a war zone. She went into the war zone. And I was reminded of another war, and the Bosnian War. The United Nations designated the town of Srebrenica as a safe area. People who were refugees from the war could flee to Srebrenica for relative safety. General Marillion was in charge of the UN troops, but he was under instructions not to engage against the Serbians. So the Serbians surrounded the town of Srebrenica, which is in a valley. They were on the hills, and they were taking pot shots into the town. And General Marillion found himself as the commander of an army with tanks and troops, with his hands tied, and he couldn't do anything to save the people from just being massacred. So he could stand genocide for only so long, and then he went into the town himself. He thought, if I'm in the town, maybe the Serbs will stop shelling. No chance again. Maybe if I'm in the town, my superiors in the United Nations will get their act together, and I'll maybe get reinforcements or help, or maybe they'll allow me to use my troops. No chance there either, and there was a massacre. General Marillion was going in the wrong direction when he went into Srebrenica. Everybody else would flee if they could. You remember at 9/11, when the Twin Towers were falling and there was a cloud of dust enveloping everybody and choking them. You could see folk running in sheer panic to get away from this cloud of dust and death. But there were some people who were going in the wrong direction, into the cloud, and they were going up the towers. They were the firefighters and the policemen. Always in life, there are some brave souls who go in the wrong direction, not saving their own lives, but risking their life for others. Look at lifeboat crews. In stormy weather, people make their way for the harbour to see the lifeboat going out into the storm. There's a verse in the Bible which is quite haunting. It says, Jesus set his face towards Jerusalem. He just stuck his jaw out, got up, and was determined to go right into the town. He knew there was a price on his head. They were out to get him. If he went in there, he'd get crucified. Maybe his followers would get crucified. His followers suggested that discretion's the better part of valour. But Jesus says, no, I'm going. And the disciples went with him. Christians are called to follow Jesus. Christians are called to go in the wrong direction too. To leave protecting ourselves and saving our life, and to risk our life and live a little dangerously. To go the way of Jesus, the way of the cross, knowing that there is resurrection. It's not really the wrong direction if we're going in Jesus' direction.